Hey, welcome back to ShePropTalk. I'm Beverly from Down in Creative Studios. I'm your host, and today's guest is Candace from Plexi Cosplay. Hey, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I hear you're melting over there where you are.
So hot.
Yeah.
It's hot right now.
Is it like hot and humid? Because that's like a killer for me.
Yeah, well, it was like a nice week the week before, and this week no, we're dying. We're dying over here. It's hot.
So what part of the country are you in?
I'm in Maryland, which
Maryland.
You wouldn't think would be, normally super hot, but today it is.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm sitting with my hands under my butt because they're pretty cold. I'm sorry.
Right now, that's how far it is.
Oh, that's so funny. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to talk to you because your wings, your giant LED wings have been like all over the internet. They totally took over the interwebs back in, what was it, last year that you entered the New York City Comic Con? Yeah, where you killed it.
It was weird.
Yeah. Well, they're pretty amazing. So I'm really excited that you're here to talk to me today about that amazing project, because I am really interested in learning about how you did those wings and how you got the LEDs in there, and I know I'm not alone. So but before we get started with that, can you tell us and me a little bit about yourself and how long you've been cosplaying for, your cosplay name, all that stuff?
Yeah. Plexi Cosplay. Cosplaying like 4 years, maybe a little longer. It's fairly new, but it's kind of a very steep curve into the world of cosplay. I don't know how that happened. And other than that, I do marketing for martial arts, and I'm a mom of 2. They're ages 4 and 6, and I'm a wife, and I like crafting. That's about the gist of it.
Oh my gosh. So where do you find the time to make amazing, huge, humongous builds? Like, what's your secret?
Yeah, like everyone has these things where they say that they're bored sometimes, and my husband and I always joke that we just never have that feeling. There's never boredom in our house. He's either always working on trucks or whatever, I'm working on whatever I'm working on, and between all of that and everything else we have going on, and we just moved and things like that, it's just, there's never boredom. It just never happens. And I'm happy for that. And that's how I get to do so many things. I just constantly work and work through it. And I get excited. It makes the work faster too, I think, whenever you see something come together.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Awesome. So you mentioned your husband. Are you guys a duo? Do you work on things together under the same name?
So he doesn't cosplay really. I mean, he'll sometimes go and like when I did Beetlejuice, he was Maitland, and he went around with the remotes to control. I had a giant sandworm, and it would move on its own without my hands, so people didn't know how it works, but he was beside me, kind of in the sidelines doing it, so he would look at other people with a sandworm while I was talking to somebody else. So, and and he helps with a lot of the big engineering things that he knows more about. I'll be like, this is my goal, and he'll say, every time he goes, that looks they can't do it. It just looks impossible to do the way you think you're going to do it. And I'm like, no, we're going to do it. And every time it works out. But so together, it helps, because he would say that I do 99%, and he just comes in and gives me tips on how to do things. And then he's like, all right, go for it. And then we put it together. But it's mostly me. This is my cosplay room. He mostly works on trucks, but without him, I couldn't achieve the things that I have either. So it's a very integral small percent that is required for me to get where I've gotten.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's like having a specialist and an extra set of hands.
So nice.
Yeah, that's great.
It's important for sure, and the emotional support, because I don't think I could have made it through New York Comic Con. Was like the first big one, and I was really, really upset about having gotten into it, not because I didn't want to be there, but because I just am very anxious, and I was so sick that day because I have sugar problems. So I had joined actually the SheProp community not long before then, and I had asked them and some of the girls were saying, like, if you need somewhere to be, if you need somebody to talk to, we're here. And that was reassuring. But my husband was definitely, like, he had to physically get me up to go in with my stuff because I was so sick and I thought I couldn't make it. And
oh my gosh,
many people that day. I didn't do many things because I was so sick. So he's been very helpful for that too.
Oh my gosh. So was that convention the first and the only convention that you've worn the costume to, or did you take it anywhere else?
Yeah, that was it. And I do that with almost everything, and I think that everyone is very confused about that. I usually make something. I take a long time to make it, and I make it. It's really amazing, whatever it is. And then I go and I wear it once, and then I'm done. I don't ever want to wear it again. I usually sell it because I want to make something else, and I don't have space for it. I did save Pride. I have, like, some of the armor back there. The wings don't fit in here, and I think I have one or two other costumes, but everything else I get rid of it as soon as I'm done. I like to wear it once, and I like to. My joy in cosplay is wearing it once, but mostly in the building and the process to get there. I love it. I love that feeling, and I love the reveal. And then it's kind of lost its, like, enjoyment for me, that costume, and then I move on. I never remake costumes. I never do any. I just toss it and I go. So weird. I get that it's not what everyone does. It's definitely cool.
Well, that's really interesting. I think that is, it's actually nice to hear that you do that, because I haven't talked to very many people who have done that. I still have my first armor build for some reason. I feel like, I feel like, well, maybe I'll do something with it. Even though I don't really like the way that I built it, it was like many levels of my building skills ago. So that's really interesting. Wow.
Yeah,
cool.
Somebody else to get the joy out of wearing it, because even though it might not be my favorite thing, I've made something and you see all the faults after you've made it, right? Yeah. And you're like, there's so many things that need fixed. But somebody else might not be at that level. That could be far above their abilities, and they would love to wear it. Right. So I don't sell them for very much money, but I'm happy to sell them for a little bit, and it helps me kind of replenish some of my stock, but also then somebody else gets to go out, and I like that feeling. Like, I've had somebody I made a Nightborn Heritage armor that had, like, all these lights. There were lights everywhere. There's like 150 some lights, and
oh my god,
it was so weird selling it because I had so much time and effort, and it had gone, like, did, like, the Reddit rounds and stuff, and that was like my first big thing where I felt really like I had done something new in the community. Like, it felt very new and great, but I sold it, and she wore it to BlizzCon, which I've never gotten to go to, and that was wonderful, because something that I couldn't go to BlizzCon, but my costume did, and it went with somebody who enjoyed it, and that made me happy.
Man, that is so cool.
Good feel.
Suddenly I'm like, what can I impart to somebody else? I don't know. I think I'm set in my ways. But man, I'm like, I am running out of room. For new costumes.
You're gonna run out of room?
Yeah.
Get out of there. I will encourage you to do it. It's a freeing feeling.
So let's talk about this build. So what is the character and the costume? Like, what is it from?
Darksiders is a video game franchise. Darksiders 3 came out, and I had done Fury already, which is one of the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. And I had done that. That was my very first foam armor, was Fury, when I did it. And it,
oh my gosh.
I know, it was bananas. It's one of my things. My husband goes, I think that's I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying I think it's impossible. And I felt really happy, and it was great. And funny enough, so I've never actually played it. After I did that, I was like, I want to do something big. I want big wings. It's, as somebody said, I just do overly ambitious cosplays. And I'm like, I want big wings. I want lights. I want all of this. And so I just kind of typed in those things in Google and was like, what character fits this? And eventually Pride came up, and it happened to be from the same video game. Still haven't played the video game. I played it for like 5 seconds, and I couldn't do it. Yeah. But he sent me like this huge Apocalypse edition with all the characters, and I'm like, that's great and everything. I'll just keep the book, the artwork book. Yeah. And I moved on. But Pride is from Darksiders 3, and she's a bad guy, I guess you would say. Fury actually fights her, so my characters in the game have fought. Oh wow. But she's one of the sins or whatever, the original sins, so you fight her.
Wow, that is really cool. Well, it's a super impressive, I mean, insane, yeah, like totally over the top, huge build, not in just the wings, but with like the entire costume from literally the top of your head to the tip of your toes. Let's talk about these wings. So, okay, if you're listening to this podcast and you're not watching it, do yourself a favor. I mean, I know I say this exactly every single time I talk about this, but you need to watch this episode, or at least go to her website, not her website, but the Facebook page or Instagram, and it's Plexi with an I, Plexi Cosplay, because you have to see these photos. I am looking at is it 12-foot span wings?
15.
15.
Yeah.
15. And they're not just wings. They are lit up. They are lit, literally lit. They're amazing. They're absolutely incredible. So let's start with how did you use a tutorial, or did you use a resource to get you started with crafting these?
Yeah. So I looked at Crooked Feather.
Mm-hmm.
She does she's like the wing lady, right?
Yeah.
And kind of got a feel for how things should go. I used most of her stuff to make the sleeve that goes over with the feathers. So you make the feathers and then you have the secondary and all the other ones, and she shows you how to make the sleeves. But the way that the wings are built to go up and down was pretty much, we had to make that up.
Okay.
We didn't have to. I don't know why. I think it's a learning experience. It's the first time I ever made wings, so
Yeah.
we did it the hard way. We did it with Pulley System instead of an actuator, which
okay.
if someone's into wings, you'll know what that means. A linear actuator is usually what people use to make the wings go up and down, and it's nice and smooth. It can be a little slow depending on, what type of actuator you get. But we did the Pulley System with, the battery and everything like that. So basically you have strings that go all the way up and down the length of the wings, and it pulls them up and down. So they don't have like a 3 pivot like this. Instead, they just kind of go up and down like this.
Oh, okay.
That's how it is in the game. I wanted it to reflect the game, and her wings don't go out like this. They go out like that.
Dang. That is commitment to the character right there.
Yeah.
Oh,
and I thought, that'll be easier, but really it's not. Like, it's just not. So and then you do that, and then you have to do the lights in each feather and stuff. It's just so much to put, and the weight is really the biggest concern, because I have to wear that, and it's like a giant sailboat whenever you're moving around, and so there's that, and everything had to be aluminum if you could, just as lightweight as we could make it. We were drilling holes in the aluminum all the way through it just to try to get the weight lower.
Yeah.
Then there's special like LED strips. Some of them have like this weird, like a plastic almost on top, and that makes it heavier. So you have to get just the LED strips with only the lights on it, just little weight things like that.
Oh, wow.
It is intense.
Wow. So how heavy did they wind up being?
Oh my gosh, how heavy were they? I forget now. It wasn't that ridiculous, but it was heavy enough. And I honestly can't even remember now. But it was like if you were going camping and you had a giant camping backpack with all your stuff in it. It felt like that, but then with the sail going as well.
Okay.
So it's a weird feeling to it. It wasn't terrible, but between that and being nauseous from being scared, it was very difficult. We had to pull a little stand behind at the championships. I had to pull a stand back behind the stage that we would take the wings off, but it was very difficult because a lot of my armor is attached directly to the wing mount. So we have to take the armor off as well. Yeah, that was rough. I just thinking about it still makes me anxious, but people were great. It was it was good.
So let's talk about a little bit about the pulley system that you were talking about. Is it a motorized pulley system?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So whenever I put on the outfit, so underneath of the armor, there's clothing, right? And in the clothing, I had to have wires going for each hand, and one of my hands was for lights, and the other one was for up and down.
Okay.
So you put that on, and then after everything, once I get the wings actually on, then you just connect it to the system in the back. And so it's not like everything was very well done. It's just you have to kind of plan the order of things to put on, and then I just had it in my hand. I had to take off the armor that was on my thumbs to be able to do it.
Okay.
But it worked out. It worked out.
That's amazing. So did you program all of this, or did you use modular parts to put it together? Can you tell me a little bit about that process?
Oh, I feel like it's forever ago. It was programmed, and because there's like stop switches, and so I could stop it halfway and bring it back down, or keep it out, or turn the lights on and off, like I said, independently of the up-down motion.
Yeah.
So everything's programmed and everything's connected to the same battery, so the lights and the movement are all with one power source. And all we had to do was make sure that was, constantly recharged, and then we could stick it in there. But it was all programmed. Mostly my husband did it. I can't even remember how we did it, honestly, at this point. It was more like we had an idea of where we wanted things to go, and then you just kind of mess with computer system until it works. And he's much better at that than I am, because he's done a lot more of that. But it was really, once we got it done, it was very simple. He actually had drawn up schematics, and we were going to post them online to be like, if anyone needs them, here these are. But it's just so much easier to do it with a linear actuator, and there's so many better ways to make wings than how we did it. We just really did it in a difficult way. Yeah. It's not ideal. So I ended up having a commission maybe a few months after that even for more wings, and I did one commission, and I did the wings, and we did it with a linear actuator, and with the 3-point we did that, and it worked really well. It was fine. But I'm done making wings. I'm not making them anymore. That's not for me.
Oh, that's so interesting. I feel like you either, and kind of like how you sell, you get rid of you wear them once and then one and done.
That's exactly. Yep.
You're done with wings. This is amazing.
I've got big plans. Every costume that I make, my plan is to do something that's not quite been done before, or not done in the way that the big robotic sandworm. I'd never seen somebody with something so animatronic that it was controlled by a separate person and all those things. I like to add something extra. So I'm having competition piece drawn up for me right now. And for the next one, I want to take that to kind of a new level too. More, I'd like to do more things with smooth on, like all the resin pours and different things that move and animatronics and stuff like that. I like lights a lot. I think lights have a lot of bang for very little. It is not hard to do lights. I burn myself a lot on the lights for the wing. I did, but they're not hard to do. It's just busy. It looks really cool in the end. But lights and moving things for me I just like doing it. Yeah.
Lights are pretty.
They are. I mean, a little bit. It was tough this time. I have to remember how many lights I had in it. But when we got there, I traveled from Maryland to New York. We traveled with this big box. We put it in storage. We got there. I went into judging. I put my wings out. And as soon as the wings went out, one of them halfway turned off. And I didn't notice it because I can't see it from where I am. But my friend was like, I could see him looking at me. Just I can't tell me to put the wings down or just turn them off altogether or whatever. Yeah. We had to actually pull it apart while we were there and resolder a lot of the connections in that little room.
No.
The lights are really cool. Lots of lights are very cool, but there's a lot of room for fail. It's very likely that something's going to get jostled loose or whatever. But we brought everything. So we did. We took out the soldering iron and we sat there and, we brought extra wires. We rewired things and we got it to work before I went out on stage, which is why it looks nice on stage. Yeah. But it was only half working for a little bit, and that was rough.
That is always the nightmare, isn't it? Just something.
I'm already sick as it gets, though. Doesn't get worse than this, so let's go through up a little bit and come back. It's fine.
Oh my gosh. So I know that you're not going to, but if you could go back in time and remake these, or change one thing about it, would you change it from the pulley system to the linear actuator, or would you do something else?
I mean, the pulley system was great. Maybe the pulley system was good because a linear actuator, there's so many options for it, and there was so much weight and just the physics of it, maybe the pulley system was the best way for us to do wings that were 15 feet across.
Yeah.
But I would have redone, I don't know, just the way the coverings were. I didn't, because you have to cover up all of the back, right, of the middle. You can't have the battery showing and stuff. And I didn't really spend enough time on that because I finally had gotten all the armor done and stuff, but I just didn't enjoy how the back of it looked. I thought if I had won that, and I had to go to the C2E2, then I would have redone the back and I would have added a weapon as well. But at that point, I was like, this is what I have to offer right now. This is as good as it gets for me, and this is what we're going with. So that's what it is. Yeah. I won't be taking it now, though. I'm done.
I don't blame you. So is this still in your possession, or is this something that, okay.
It's in our possession. We've wondered. I've thought about bringing them out and like putting on something completely ridiculous. I don't know, like lingerie or something, and like things, and just like taking like ridiculous photos with them. But I'm not a lingerie person. Yeah. I know that that's not my niche. So, but you know, I still have them. I don't know. It feels weird to throw those ones away. My husband's like, you might want to sell them, and I said, there's no one that's going to be able to buy this 7 foot, like the shipping alone. So, you know, I like the armor. I think it looks nice. I'll keep it out a little bit. It's whatever.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, I can only imagine that, you know, these are just so beautiful. I'm just mesmerized by the blue color, like these wings. I just can't. It's like every time I try to look at the armor and the beautiful armor, I just go right back to the wings.
That's the bad part too about doing something. Always has one thing that's overly ambitious, is that the rest of it kind of floats into the background, and the background stuff is usually the stuff that I've done my best detail work on.
Yeah.
The flashy part is just for the flashy part. I don't know. They're always like, so what's your favorite part of this? I'm going to guess it's the wings. And I'm like, it's actually like the face mask. Yeah. I'm really proud of that. Like,
yeah. So let's talk about that. How did you make that mask?
Oh, it's a mixture. It's 3D. It's a 3D print. Just like the actual plate on the front, and then all of the rest of it is foam. So most of the stuff I had was foam. It's just that I wanted the mask part to be not only smooth, like it has like a very organic look to it, but I didn't want to be printing in foam all day because I know that feeling and I hate that feeling. So it was a bit easy to read through. Yeah. Yeah. And it has like a reflective piece on the eyes, like that you would put on a window, and when you would look, it would look like a mirror. I did that for the eyes, so I could look out, people couldn't see in. That was nice.
I like that.
I love masks. I want all of my costumes to cover my face. I don't want anyone to know what I look like. I just want it all to cover all the time.
That is amazing. It's this whole build is just incredible. I'm looking through your Facebook page right now and checking out, like, it looks like you did sewing and foam work and this 3D printing, and then what is this? Wait a second. Is this a cast of your neck and your shoulders?
Yeah, so like the cowl is, I wanted it to bend with me, and so I did that as a resin pour, a silicone. It's like a semi-flexible or semi-rigid resin. So I had to do a mold of my neck and then do the whole, I carved it with the clay and then did a slush cast, and I liked it. I got it from actually Lightning Cosplay and a few of those, it's actually a few couples usually that had been hired by THQ Nordic to do all the Fury costumes, and they all did the cowls. And I had watched that she did hers with a semi-rigid resin, so I asked them, I said, what did you use? And they all used a Task 14. It was a certain kind. And that was nice to be able to get that feedback from them, and then I used that for this. Yeah, it was my first time doing something like that. Like, I had not used any sort of resin before, and so like to go, it's what I do. I go from zero to make a full cowl with it. And it was not, I did not know what to expect. It was an absolute disaster. I put the resin, I like had my thing and it was all ready, and I'm like, this is gonna look great. And I poured it in, and I'm thinking it's gonna be like a putty or like a smooth peanut butter type, and it is like water. It goes straight through onto my wood floor. Like,
oh,
it went everywhere. It was a disaster, but I did save it. I saved it, but I learned quite a bit very fast about it.
So you do all of your building in your craft room, or do you?
Well, this is my brand new craft room. Like before this, it was in a bedroom, and we lived in a bedroom that had an A-frame roof, and I had like this little section down here. So all those wings and everything was made with me on the floor.
Oh my gosh.
In a little one at a time. Like you just cut out each feather one at a time, and then lay it. Like it was a ridiculous amount of stuff in a small space. But you know, make do with what you got. It's whenever it was like, I don't have the room, I don't have this, and I'm like, could I show you where I built this ridiculous thing? And I've got this, and you can do it. I promise you can do it. You just have to want to do it. If you don't want to, that's fine. No one's judging you. But if you want to, you can.
Exactly. That's good advice. Yeah, don't be deterred by your small space. But maybe be ready to, you know, rehome it when you're all done. So you can have room for something else.
Part with it whenever you're done then. That's all you have.
I feel like so my friend Abby, who's one of the admins for SheProp, and she's local to me, and we do a lot of panels together and for SheProp. And one of the most frequently asked questions is, how do you store your cosplays? And it's funny that she seems to get that question all the time. Really? So this is a really great way to effectively
store them in someone else's house.
Yeah, store them somewhere else, in someone else's house, in someone else's possession. That's
and then you never look back. It's very. I think it's part of that like minimalist attitude. Yeah. Like I'm really going minimalist, and it has become very easy for me to part with things now. I just take it. I remember when I first started selling, I had a lot of messages of people saying, I could never do that. Aren't you, like, don't you feel any attachment? Like, you put so much time into that. And I'm like, yeah, I put time into everything. But I'm not putting time into storing this in my closet where no one's going to see it. Like,
right. Yeah.
I'm done. So,
well, I admire that. Maybe I'll do something with some of my old ones. I don't know. I just don't know that I can get rid of anything. I don't know if I can do it, Candace. I don't know.
Don't force yourself, but start small if you want. And then you might be like, oh, that should feel pretty good. I don't miss that at all. I should do another one.
Well, you know, I did kind of rehome a portion of my Hela costume. Well, my Hela costume entirely to smooth on. And then that actually hurt, and so I made it again. So I don't know that I'm made of the same stuff as you, Candace. I'm not as brave as you are. I'm not as brave. I can't do it.
You make wonderful things, though. You should be proud to have them.
Well, thank you. You know, I've always wondered, like, I've always kind of wanted to make like a mini version of whatever it was that I was making, like a small version, and then keep that one, and then maybe like do away. Because and at one point at one of the conventions that I went to, Shapeify My Life was like the 3D scanning place. Like, we'll just get a 3D scan of your costume, and then like I'd feel better about getting rid of the actual costume once it falls apart. Yeah. But then I did it with I got the scan of my Ravenna costume, and the reflection of it was just made the whole scan look like it was melting together. There's something about the reflection and the 3D scan itself just did not play nicely. So I never wound up doing that. But yeah, I mean, I have all sorts of ideas, but
good effort. But you might just have to keep yours. That's fine too.
I wanted to ask you, how long did that costume take you to make?
I think it took 6 to 8 months. I started it like in the spring of that year, and the convention was October or something. I think it started in April. So
wow,
amazing.
And was the goal New York City Comic Con?
Yes, that one the goal was. So I was like, if I'm going to do something big, I'm going to enter in something big. Because before then I'd only entered in like 1 or 2 conventions, but I'd won them at like Baltimore Comic Con and stuff. And I was like, that was bizarre to me. When I went to Baltimore, I went by myself. My husband wasn't with me, he had to work. And I had my costume, and I'm like, I'm going to enter in a contest. I'm going to do the thing. And I put up to him and I said, what happens if I panic and I can't go? Can I sign up and then just leave? Or is that okay? And they're like, I need you to stay. I really want you to stay. And then I did it by myself again. Nobody there, nobody that I knew, going up on stage. And I remember just screaming at the top of my lungs when I got, because everyone was cheering, and so they couldn't hear me either. So I just screamed and cried. And I won that. I was like, oh, what a feeling. That's a big feeling. And I was very anxious, but I was not near the amount of anxiety as New York because I didn't know what to expect. But I was ready to do it again. And so I thought, if I'm going to do something big, I want people to see it. Like I want to just be seen. I don't want to win. I want to be seen. And I still have that feeling. I like being seen, but still being behind a mask. I don't know. Sure. What a weird, I feel like a lot of cosplayers have that feeling where you like being seen and being in it, but not really.
Sure.
I don't know.
It's like the introvert's like secret weapon, kind of. It's like the way that we're able to exist in a public space and be celebrated for our talents and our hard work. I totally get it. Yeah.
I don't dress up for Halloween, which I find everyone finds hilarious. Oh, I bet you're gonna do this for Halloween. I'm like, I in fact don't dress up for Halloween at all. I go out and I drive my car. I turn the music on for all the kids, and then I'm like the little car that follows them so they can put their candy in it or whatever. But it's because I feel like that's the time for everybody to go out and wear their things, and I'm not quite as seen, and so it doesn't have that same like thrill for me. And I'm just here to enjoy the family time then. But costume is one of those. It's one of the few things where I like to be near people. Yeah. I feel like I belong. So I'm a weird person. And the costuming is where it's at for me. So.
Yeah, no, I think that's so great to hear, and I don't hear that very often from the folks that I've interviewed so far on this podcast. It's your outlook and your process and the getting is making something and then checking it, making room for the next one. It's like a whole different kind of a thing, and I love it. I'm here for this.
Weird. I'm very.
It's amazing.
In my pants, if that's the phrase. Just go for it. Mess up a lot. If anyone is wondering how to do it, I'm like, just be prepared to mess up all the time. Spend a lot of money messing up, and which is just what it is. You just have to pace yourself. Yeah. Don't get. I remember being heartbroken once because I had entered in something and there's nothing. I got not even just nothing. It did nothing for me. And so I messaged a judge and I'm like, I feel like I failed. Like, I feel like I put so much effort into nothing. She goes, you're so ambitious. I really like your ambition. I think you need to keep doing it. I really like what you brought. And then after that, I did Pride. And then I messaged her again afterwards, after that whole thing, months later. And I said, just so you know, that one conversation was what got me through a hard part. Just say, keep going. You just needed someone to keep doing it. Yeah. That was really nice. I felt like I belonged somewhere.
Oh, that's amazing. Well, what advice would you give somebody who might be struggling with that kind of thing, where because this happens a lot, folks they enter a contest and they are just crushed when they're not awarded anything or they're not awarded top prize. What advice do you have for them?
I feel that feeling. Like, I feel like people try to make you feel like, well, you need to, cosplay isn't for that. You need to just do it because you love it and blah, blah, blah. And sometimes what we love is feeling noticed. And that's an okay feeling too. I hate for somebody to think that that's not valid because somebody else says no, cosplay is just because you need to do it for this. Right. You want to compete, and that's okay. You might not win. You might walk away with nothing at all, and you're not even qualified to enter. And that's you. It's gonna stink. Like, that's a hard feeling. If you can connect with other people in the community, like the SheProp community is a really good one. Find somebody that you can just talk to, and it doesn't have to be about not entering. It's just feel like part of a community, and get ready to build your next thing. Like, as soon as you don't, just get ready to build your next thing. Like, don't just wallow in that and keep focusing on that, or you can re-enter it, I guess, in something else. But for me, it drives, like, the heartache and the feeling that I've failed is what drives me to make something more ridiculous and better. And that's what gets me to the next part. And so those things, and don't feel afraid to reach out to the people who you had looked to, like the judge, to reach out and say, what can I do? And I feel like most of them are pretty responsive. They're all part of the same community. Like, reach out and ask for help. Ask for anything. There's just such a good community to be part of. Do it.
Yeah. Well, those are really great words of advice to anyone that is, yeah, I mean, I like you, no nonsense approach to that. Like sometimes you just like, you like the competition part of that. And yeah, it is really hard for a lot of people to kind of come back from a big disappointment. So yeah, no, thank you for sharing that with us.
All of us. I feel like we've all hit the crush of disappointment before. We
totally.
I'd not crush at some point.
Yeah. What's next? You kind of mentioned it a little bit. Is it a secret? Are you willing to talk about it, or?
Yeah, I mean, so right now I'm running out of things that are going to fit the ambition that I have and what I want to do, right? So there's only so many characters out there. So I'm starting to kind of get into the world of original designs of something that's already existing. So Mizutsun, the dragon from Monster Hunter, it has like, there's a lot of girls that it's like a pink, like a Asian themed type of outfit is what it looks like. And I'm kind of I didn't like the way the outfit looked at all, so I'm redoing it completely. And she has a lot of like these giant fan scale feather things and stuff. So I'm remaking it entirely for myself. I'm just making it up as I go. And I'm going to try that. Beetlejuice was kind of fun because it was original based on something that was already existing. And then after that, I have Cindere's Art is making my artwork for my next big costume. It's based on a Disney villain because I go with villains. And
villains are awesome. Villains are fun.
Yeah, exactly what it is. But everything that I do basically has the same color scheme. It basically is always a little bit scary. It's and it will have animatronics. It will have a lot of moving parts. A lot more heavy sewing this time. I feel like maybe that held me back from winning the overall at New York because I won the armor, but I didn't win overall. And I was. Everyone was like, why not? And I'm like, maybe it's the sewing. Maybe I didn't quite do enough. So a little more heavy sewing, but a lot of the things that I still love to do and the same vibe that I always do. Same colors, same everything. It's just, you just stick with what you like sometimes.
Yeah. Well, hey, if that works, then why? I mean, you're doing it for yourself. So why not keep doing what you love? Well, we are almost out of time here. I can't believe it. I feel like I could ask you so much more about all of your work, but I'll just have to invite you back on next time after you do your next big giant build, which I'm really excited. Do you post work in progress pictures as you're working on things, or?
I usually put some in my stories now. I don't know why I've kind of gotten away from. I used to put a lot in the feed, and now I have kind of backed away, and I do more of the stories. But I usually I have the story highlights and I keep all of my work in progress. So if someone says, have you done a tutorial? Not really, but if you go in there, you'll see all of the mess ups, everything I did, and you can follow. And if you ask, I answer everybody who messages me. It's just, awesome. I like answering the questions. So yeah, I do that way.
Perfect. Well, where can we find you online to go?
Instagram or Facebook. Like I don't sell things or anything. I don't take commissions anymore because that is a whole level of anxiety that I just do. I only do some things for deco art, but I'm an open book, and I'm excited to see anyone who wants to ask or see things. I'm always here.
Awesome. And that is Plexi Cosplay, Plexi with an I, Plexi Cosplay.
Yep, like plexiglass, but Plexi Cosplay.
Cool.
Don't awesome. Plexiglass that much. No.
Awesome. Well, it's been so wonderful getting to talk to you. I am such a huge fan of your work. So this has been a really, really great time for me and really interesting. I just love your outlook on cosplay and like your work methods and the way that you cosplay, I guess, is the term I'm looking for. Like everything that you do has just been really fun to hear about. So thanks for sharing with me today. All right, listeners and viewers, thank you for watching and for listening. And you better go check out her page and follow those builds and go ask her questions because this has been awesome. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.